This is my father, the real King Edward VIII, who was married to Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, Windsor, who was queen in 36, and this is Georgia, my aunt, the artist, O'Keefe. I don't have a picture of my mom. They literally destroyed her. This is the double, one of them, that married Wallace Simpson. They really went after my dad. His own brother, George VI, illegal. Went along with the Illuminati. My father refused, so they took him down. Kidnapped me, installed George. 1939, the year I was born, he's here with Roosevelt, President Roosevelt. Look how sweet Elizabeth's mom looks. Got her legs crossed and everything. Proper lady, right? If you call all this a lady, how sick and despicable. And here's, oh God, if you start reading about them, after I found out about all this, he made Joe Kennedy ambassador. JFK helped in my kidnapping. This became president, flew in 39 to 41 and helped kidnap me. Spoke before Parliament. How's that? But this, look at them. The biggest garbage dump. Now, this is what I was writing about before I found out about my being kidnapped in my name, Project Lucid. A church sent this up. I was living on the Appalachian Trail to have a place to be. And someone told me, they bought the book, and I wish I'd kept it, that this was what I had been telling about. And I was talking about mind control murders, and this happened to be one. He was programmed, Timothy McVeigh, and he said the U.S. Army put a chip in him, military, implanted a chip, computer chip. But this is a long list of them, like, like Larry Flint was shot by a program shooter, and that's when I was doing the book in 78, he was shot in Lawrenceville. So this whole list of this, but this is where he endorsed me in Hustler in April of 84. But this is for President. Now, when he flew me out there, it was for U.S. Congress. Now then, I just read, well, and I appreciate this lady. She informed me of a YouTube. The name of it is The Abdication, a Very Aristocratic Coup documentary of supposedly my dad. And answers the question she asked, and she was nice. I appreciate it. No, that's not my dad. And I want to go back to a movie. It's a question who my husband really is. I think he had connections. I'm pretty sure he did, to the CIA. Anyway, looking back, and I didn't know until 83, but things he did and said later made sense to me. So he was supposed to marry me, and he always knew who I am. There was a movie, Blindfold, he took me to, and I just Googled it, and I'm coming up with not what I saw. What I saw, it was released in 1965. It was about a psychiatrist, and Rock Hudson starred in it. And the whole thing involved them rolling him in to be operated on, and he had a blindfold on coming out or going in. I thought it was horrible. And when he came out, he was a different looking person. So they can change your appearance way back then by surgery, etc. But he was a scientist, and it involves the government. So there was a lot of, you can find people that look alike, though, enough. And if you notice a bunch of these, and alter the photos also. That's not my dad. The bad behavior, they had this double running around marrying Wallace, and he rode a tricycle and had the Union Jack as a diaper. And supposedly, and they printed it, that's my dad. I can remember after I found out about my kidnapping, I can remember being under a huge chandelier and two women talking. One was my mom, and I don't know if it's Georgia. I think she's had a British accent. I'm not sure. But they were talking. My mother was almost in tears. She said he's going to come home, and he's heard this on the radio. It's going to kill him. And they were saying that it was him instead of the double riding the tricycle dressed in that manner. But these, just to show you what some of the crazy antics they had the doubles run around doing, and the Illuminati obviously got away with it. The global government up there is run, that's who they are, the United Nations. Um, they're the front for the global government, as in Revelations. So, what else did I want to put up? I wanted to mention there were a couple of things I could remember later after I was told in '83. Well, there were Brits all along. They never personally told me who I am. I wondered why they were there, and I got to tell you, they saved my life on more than one occasion. Uh, well, one was in where they almost killed me. April Fool Day of '80 was one time, and then Britt was across the state line when I worked for the district attorney when they were trying to really shut me up. Dempsey and the woman that where they dropped me off and gave me the name of her twin when she'd killed both of them, Peggy and Carl. They were born out of wedlock. Anyway, there's something else I was going to say there, and I'm losing my train of thought. I don't have it written down, and I went back and looked at this YouTube that the lady wanted me to see, and I've never seen them, and I'm glad I haven't. It's hard to take. They've got all these lies and Wallace Simpson on the YouTubes, and Elizabeth has never told the truth, and she's always known. She stood by, uh, flaunted the money that weddings, all the money, jewelry, the horses, all this, while she has totally known about me and my sons, Mark and Scott, who are heirs, and she has to know what was done to them just because of who we are. And that my father wouldn't take orders from this group of thugs, Freemasons, Illuminati, Mafia. I remember right after they kidnapped me, though, Cortland, Alabama, we went to several times. They didn't have a car, but um, they had horse, mule, and wagons, how you travel. But somebody came and took us out there. It was Martis's that lived out there. That was the old woman's maiden name, Dempsey's maiden name, who would have been the grandmother there of the family. We went out there, and it was um, it was, I don't know why we went to the house, but it seems like it was somebody that was military. I remember when I walked into the house, it had a foyer, and it had like a little courtyard inside the house, had the little kind of gated area. Well, it wasn't little, it was kind of small. And I thought it left its mark with me. And I remember, and I wanted to go back there, and they would never go there again. Because I remember my dad holding me, and somebody came in, and it was just like that. The scene was just like that. The foyer, the whole little, it was exactly like that. And I remember the person wanted to hold me. My dad said, "Well, you better watch her. She goes for your eyes." He took me, and I went for his eyes. I can remember that. I wasn't that old, too, when they got me. But anyway, I guess I'm laughing because it was, I remember always thinking, your eyes tell who you are. They're a window to your soul. I always thought that. Um, Now, I could go on and tell a lot of things. I'm just going to tell this, though. Jack Hartsfield was FBI. He was undercover working as a reporter, Huntsville Times, New Mexican News. He was out in California, and he spoke with Larry Flint on several occasions. Now, the FBI run Hustler magazine. But I'm going to read a letter from Jack. Most of his letters have been stolen. So let me read as much as I can. His nephew, I believe it's his nephew, they're close, I believe that I'm correct, was Hank Hartsfield, the astronaut. He was commander of a couple of the shuttles. And I think Hank was from Alabama. I was taken to Moulton, Alabama, near Space Center. It became the Space Center in Huntsville. I remember one of the first letters that Jack wrote me after I moved away and then he moved away. It was a letter, "You're not unlike Marie," the movie that took down the Governor Blanton of Tennessee. She told the truth, and she suffered a lot of hell for it. And I tell you what, this was odd. I lived in Nashville before I came up here, really, if you call it living. But I was taken over, and she was going to hire me, this lady was, to stay with her. It turned out that she's Marie's mother, and Marie was in New York, so I never met her, but I stayed with her mother, but I couldn't do it because her mother was really, really heavy, and it's so sad because all this happened. I know her mother was left paralyzed from her neck down, and she gained so much weight and she couldn't move, so she really needed 24-hour care, and I wasn't able to pick her up and down and move her or anything. So I didn't stay that but a few days, and I left. I just couldn't do it. But anyway, I met her. I thought that was kind of odd, like a lot of this. So I'm going to read just a little bit. Well, I thought I was. I'm going to tell this part because I worked for the district attorney after April Fool Day of '80 and after doing the book and trying to get it published. And it's about mind control murders, and they were done in patterns. Had a letter from the FBI. Jack, it's not funny. I don't know what to do with it other than try to. Jack saved my life there. It's how they were trying to murder me now. Lina Dempsey, Senator Sparkman, U.S. Senator Sparkman, and all this. Okay, he's saying something. And much of the big picture went back as early as Sheriff Dave Hedrick or Bulldog Daniel. Marcus Bulldog Daniel was the nephew of the Sheriff Patterson there. And if you ever see, I'm not going to put it up here, how they tried to kill me, Bulldog Daniel's cousin, well, okay, this is his cousin's a cop. And I wish you could see this. And Jack's saying, "Hey, this lady sitting beside you can tell you who killed your cousin or brother, I'm forgetting now, Bulldog Daniel." And, his own brother knew it, and he wouldn't do anything to stop what was happening to me or anything. So it's incredible. And okay, the sheriff, first of all, well, I won't say that. There's no need. I wanted to put this going out. I gotta charge it, so I might as well. I'm making a mess out of this, so to discredit you and later me, the logic of some very sinister people was simply to go to any length to destabilize your life, make you appear to be loony, etc., etc., to break you, if at all possible, psychologically and emotionally. I know that feeling all too well. By the way, when he was out in New Mexican paper, Santa Fe, near where my Aunt Georgia O'Keeffe had her ghost ranch in Abiquiu. Uh, Jack covered Los Alamos, where they did, the whistleblower did a thing on that recently. You should watch it. He covered it. This man was honest. There's so few that are like him, and he's deceased about 2 years ago. He was a little bit older than me, and I'm sorry that he didn't get to live, and hopefully this is all the truth told about it. Um, well, he's telling a lot about the Army missile, Redstone Arsenal, and J. Edgar Hoover's FBI Division 5, a super secret police agency, had opened since 1940s. This is in Huntsville, where they took me. Moulton's about 40 miles away, and they brought Werner von Braun over, and this is how the United States used me as a hostage. Okay, how NASA was built and everything was partly because of uh, getting Werner von Braun. Other than just money across the board, is how they used me as hostage. Okay, and there's J. Edgar Hoover, as I said, they had an operation since the 1940s. And I remember now looking back, it made no sense then. Things that happened, I worked at the City Grill, and I am going to tell this because this gets into the patterns. I thought I was being told I was Peggy Ann Dempsey. And Lina Dempsey, and I was a twin. Lina was my mother. God knows that woman, the most evil person. Oh, God. Anyway, I worked 7 days a week to support her. And I'm not going to say Philip. I loved him. He was brought there. I loved him. I would have done anything to help him, and I don't. I would do more if I could. Uh, well, now I've lost my train of thought here. Oh, I was working at the City Grill, and one night listen to this because it made no sense then. Double Springs, Alabama, that's near Moulton. Nobody had ever come in, and I worked there 2 years or 2.5 years till I finished high school. The basketball team came in. And I remember the one guy was captain named Edward Riddle from Double Springs. So you get into back then, Double married Wallace Simpson, wasn't my father, Edward the Eighth, never married her. So a double did. In the riddle, this is kind of like putting a puzzle or a riddle together, and his name was Edward. And, he must have been told. I dated him a couple of times when I had a chance to date even. But he asked me, and I thought it was because he found out I was supposed to be illegitimate. See, I took Peggy's, they gave me her name and everything, and they were born out of wedlock. And so I felt the shame growing up. It was made like I was the villain or something. But I wonder now about Edward Riddle. He said something about my father, and he didn't go further. I guess I shouldn't go telling this, but when I finished high school, I went back out. Well, no, it's just before I finished. I had a date, went out to Double Springs of all places, and he was captain of the football team. And I hadn't seen him. I dated him a few times, and then I never heard from him again. And I really liked him. And I went out there with a date and a couple other people. And I remember he was captain of the ball team, and he when he saw me, he started. They put him out. How do you call it? Fouling out or something.